to this month's edition of the Hippocratic Diaries video newsletter. And today we're going to be answering a reader question about the top 5 strength exercises that you can do to help gain strength and power, both for sports and just for your everyday life. First of all, this is a very subjective topic, which makes it hard to actually address properly. But I will say a few things. That first of all, strength is more a function of the sets and reps that you're doing and how you program exercises as opposed to what the actual exercises are. Because again, you can gain strength doing any form of activity, any form of resistance training. So it's more about how you're programming it as opposed to what the actual exercises are. But most strength coaches and most people involved in strength athletics will agree with the exercises I've chosen today in terms of just building your entire body for strength and power. So what these exercises are is going to be the squat, the bench press, the power clean, the deadlift, the dip, and then we'll finish off with the bonus exercise, which is the shoulder press, and can also cross over to the push press. So for each of the exercises, there's probably at least 10 variations, some of them a lot more than that. So there's a lot of different ways you can do them. You definitely don't want to lump them all together in one workout. That would be quite strenuous in your body. But again, you can mix and match them to get a really complete program. So I've picked apart the mechanics of the squat to death in previous videos. So we're just going to do one quick demo just to kind of remind you of what it is. So again, quick basic reminders. Your head's going to be looking straight ahead, if not slightly up. That's going to help keep your back straight. Chest out, butt out, and you're going to lead the movement with your chest, as in your chest should be the first thing coming up. Other than that, you just want to keep your knees in line with your toes. Okay, it's alright for them to go ahead of the toes in certain cases, but the biggest thing is that they stay in proper alignment with the toes, and not that your toes are pointing one direction, your knees are going the other direction. That's where we're going to get the knee injuries. So I'm just going to set up for the squat here. So I usually like to have just slightly wider shoulder width. Again, if you're not very flexible in the shoulders, you want to go wider. So just basic barbell back squat. Get the bar onto your back and walk the bar out. And I like to keep it fairly low in my back, and I find that helps me stay up taller. Some people might want to have it higher, but the idea is the bar is resting on your trapezius muscles. So widen your stance to a comfortable distance, and then you're going to drop down, again nice and deep. Stand up again, nice and tall. Okay, again leading with the chest, looking straight up all the time. So that's the back squat. Walk forward into the rack, and you're done. So this next exercise is going to be the barbell deadlift. And again, you're going to notice that in a lot of ways it looks very similar to the squat because you're using the same basic mechanics. The only difference in the squat is most of the action comes from the legs, and it's just the hips that finish off the movement. Whereas here, most of the action is in the hips, and it's the legs that provide that extra mobility for the movement. Also, one thing I forgot to mention before I began the squat is all these exercises depend on a fair amount of flexibility and mobility in your joints. So if you're tight or inflexible anywhere, you definitely want to work on building that up before you do this. Otherwise, you will get into injuries. And too, as your strength increases, you're basically going to run into some more problems. So get flexible first, then start with these exercises. So the deadlift, again, a lot of variations for it. Just basically feet shoulder width apart, pointing straight ahead. You want to walk up pretty close to the bar. Your grip can either be double overhand grip like this, or you can do an alternating grip with one hand overhand, one hand underhand. And if you're doing an alternating grip, then you want to switch your grip every set. Otherwise, you're going to start to develop muscle imbalances in your arms and in your shoulders and trapezius muscles. Okay, so just remember to switch all the time. For the setup for the deadlift, you're going to squat down nice and low. Okay, again, dropping down, just like we're doing the barbell squat almost. Again, back nice and tall, so chest out, butt out, looking up. And again, you're going to grip just outside your legs. Alright, and the big thing to remember here is your arms should be straight. We shouldn't have bent elbows, because that motion of straightening out our arms is going to take power away from our lift. Second thing is, you're going to do almost all the lifting with your legs at first, and as soon as you get to the knees, then you can start extending the hips and straightening out the back. So getting down low, again looking up, and the bar should just drag up your shins. There we go, and then when you get to the top, you want to push your hips out, and you want to drop your shoulders down and back. And then slide it back to your legs. So again, the bar is maintaining contact with your body all the way up, all the way down. The other big thing to remember for both the squat and the deadlift, all the weight is on the heels. Okay, you don't want to feel like you're rocking forward onto your toes. or you don't want to feel your heels coming off the ground. So if you have troubles keeping the heels down, you can remember to kind of pull backwards a bit more, or you can put some weight plates under your toes, and that will help you stay in the right position. Just one more rep. Again, alternating grip, back straight, weight on the heels, up and back, and guide it back down. So for this exercise, the barbell bench press, probably one of the most common exercises you see done in the gym, and it's also one of the most common ones to be seen done wrong. Again, people learn mostly about mimicry as opposed to actually taking the time to learn the mechanics and some of the finer points that can make the exercise the difference between a great exercise and something that you can hurt yourself with very easily. So bench press, one of the biggest things is to get your body set up right on the bench. And basically, I like to have, so the bar is right above my chin, and then you're driving your heels into the ground, and that's going to provide extra force for your push, but what it's also going to do, if you line up properly, it's going to drive your shoulders into the bench. And that's going to provide a nice strong base of support to have your shoulders digging into the bench like that, so you have a lot to push against, as opposed to having a flat back on the bench. Then you're going to lose some force in your pushing that way. So you don't want to lift your butt off the bench at all, and you don't want to have a massive arch in your back, but you definitely want to be having just enough of an arch that all that heel push goes into your shoulders. And to squeeze the shoulder blades together against the bench too will give you that extra stability. Your arms, if you're looking from a bird's eye view of the bench press, your arms, your upper arms should be forming about a 45 with your body. Okay, for flaring way out to the side like this, again, that's where we're going to get some extra shoulder strain, stuff like that. And two, if we have it too tight, I mean, again, this can be useful for certain practice, but to do this all the time, you're not getting true functional movement. So usually arms are about 45. You get that nice balance between that extra stress, but again, something that your body can actually use, and it's not going to create injury. So we want to lower the bar right down to our chest, and then push it all the way up and lock out our elbows. Again, elbows straight, but not forcefully locking them out. Right? So getting set up here. Again, how you grip will depend on what type of bench press you're doing, but just a standard bench press, usually just outside shoulder width. I usually like to use my thumbs, engage from the inside rings there. Okay, so heels digging in, lift the bar off, lower it to our chest, push straight up. Alright, this next exercise, power cleans, and you'll have to forgive me for this one, my form isn't amazing on it. But you'll get the basic idea, and then I definitely encourage you to check out some better resources on learning this one, and definitely maybe get a coach to show you. So this is a basis for a lot of Olympic lifting movements, the power clean, and it's kind of a combination of a whole bunch of other exercises put together when you really break it down. Again, this one's great for total size and strength development, good power for athleticism. So what you're doing, you're going to set up almost like you're doing a deadlift. This time with a double overhand grip. And what you're doing is you're going to start deadlifting the bar, but very forcefully and very fast. And at the same time you're doing that, you're leaning back, and you're almost going to kind of go up into a calf raise or even a mini jump. And that mini jump will add the extra force to help get the bar up higher. At the same time you're doing that, you're kind of shrugging your shoulders and doing an upright row to bring the bar up at least to about collarbone height or chin height. Okay? And that's a point where you're going to dip under the bar and catch the bar in what we call the rack position. Okay, you might have seen this in some of my other squat videos. Okay, that rack position is with the hands bent back, holding the bar. Okay, elbows up and inwards, and that pressure creates a nice holding place for the bar. Okay, and the bar ideally, especially if you're going to move into something like front squats, is going to be resting right at your collarbone. But just for practicing the power cleans alone, it'll just kind of stay in that semi-rack position. Alright, so it's that big pull, big jump, catch the bar, and then stand up straight, and then you can let the bar down again. So this one's hard to do in slow motion with weight, but we'll just go through a few reps. So again, starting with your basic deadlift start, and get up, catch it, and then back down. So again, you really notice that when you're dipping under, you're driving the elbows in and up. Okay. And down. Alright, so this exercise is a parallel bar dip or triceps dip. And again, you can do different grip variations to work your body differently. And as you get strong with it, you can even strap weight onto your hips to make it more of a challenge. This machine can be awkward sometimes to use, but ideally, as long as you have two parallel bars that are at least waist height and at least hip width apart, you should be able to do this exercise effectively in any setting. So it's pretty versatile that way. Basic setup, just going to grip the bar. Again, hands right under the shoulders. And if you lean a bit more forward on this exercise, you can get more of a chest workout. Whereas if you stay exactly up and down, you can hit more of the triceps. So it just all depends what you want at that time. This one is phenomenal for building pushing strength and pressing strength and building up the triceps and the chest. So you can either cross your legs behind you or just let them hang, your choice. Just getting set up. Lower yourself slowly down to where your elbows form a 90-degree angle. Press back up to straight and lower yourself again. So this last exercise, again, is the bonus exercise for this month. Shoulder press, and again, it closely relates to the push press. Slight differences here. Push press is going to be a little bit more for power because you are using some leg drive, some momentum in the picture, but you can usually handle bigger weights. And the shoulder press, again, more for strict shoulder development, but there is a lot of crossover, and it's good to mix things up. So, I'm going to demonstrate the shoulder press first. A lot of people will say that overhead pressing, especially overhead pressing going behind the head, is a little bit dangerous, and I would tend to agree there. So if you have bad mobility in your shoulders, you might want to really work on getting rid of that before you begin this exercise. But if you have pretty good mobility in your shoulders, you should be okay. And secondly, once you get to really big weights, you might notice some problems. So maybe keep the weight more moderate for the shoulder press. You can also do the shoulder press in front. But again, we're getting close to the push press and we're doing that. So just hand and shoulder width apart. Again, you don't have a rack, you're going to pick it up like a deadlift. Get up to your chest. Okay. So behind the neck first. Again, just lower it slowly. I usually like to go to about the base of the skull. Any deeper than that, and then you're getting into risk of injury. Press back up. So you can feel just where the back of your head starts to round out. That's as far as you go. Okay. Just like that. Pressing in front. Same idea. This time you're going to go a bit lower to your chin or your collarbone. And press up. Okay, wrist straight. And down. Okay, for the push press, like I mentioned, a bit of leg drive in there. And your starting point is usually a little bit narrower. And you're kind of bouncing the weight a little bit. So get set up for that one. Okay, so starting in the rack position, and just a small dip with the legs, that's going to help push me up. And as soon as the weight comes back down, I start dipping, and I'm almost catching the weight again. Okay, so that's a push press. Again, they're all working your shoulders. They're just going to hit it slightly differently, and slightly different focuses for those. So those are all the prime strength building exercises. Again, these work for everybody in terms of strength and athletic development, building good muscle in your body, and it's just how you program them that determines how well they're going to work for you and what kind of results you're going to get. So be sure to check out the offline article so that way you get a well-rounded picture of what these are supposed to be like. And we'll see you next month for our next video.